Yeah, what's the question?
So, what concerns you?
What concerns me?
Yeah.
Of all the problems in the world?
Yeah.
I have said before, and I'll say it again, I am concerned with copyright law. Copyright policy, going back a couple hundred years when it was expensive to make a book, produce a book, and reproduce a book, even after Gutenberg made it streamlined as compared to actually hand copying.
Well, even down to making a font set cost $600,000 for a font set in the 1960s, right? 600,000 cat.
That's right. There was actually a process of creating the type, and it's expensive. And so to give artists and authors a way to give them limited monopoly protection for their creation to offset that cost. Now, as we've gone forward in the digital age, the cost of creating and reproducing content is, again, virtually zero. Copyright should not have been expanded, as we've seen because of the lobbying efforts of Disney and Microsoft and the copyright cartel. Copyright should have been rolled back to where it was originally. In the United States, it was something like 14 years with an option to renew for 14 years. Yeah. If you release the copyright, you roll back copyright, that means the public domain is going to be made a lot richer. You're going to have a lot more good ideas out there. If you want to fight the bad guys, you want to fight bad ideology, you want to fight bad theology, well then make it easier for people to have access to the good ideas and the good theology. They don't have access to this stuff because it's on corporate balance sheets, all locked up because of this copyright cartel, which has created, in effect, perpetual copyright. They've done effectively a mass lobotomy on society by putting all the good stuff back on corporate balance sheets. And this is, if it were rolled back and repealed and you let this stuff out back into the public domain, artists and the general public have a way to get back in touch with themselves. These ideas go back millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years. They're the basis of culture and civilization.
Culture by its very nature is open source, isn't it?
Exactly. In our DNA are the rights for these ideas and these thoughts, and the fact that Disney can come along and redo stories that have been in the public domain, like they did with that song for The Lion King. They took a song that was in Africa since the dawn of civilization. I forget the song, but it's an classic African tune. But they copyrighted it, and now of course the people in Africa don't have access to their own culture because it's on Disney's balance sheet. That's completely a gulag. It's an intellectual gulag state, using copyright as a copyright prison, and it's absolutely unacceptable. And these corporations who do this are engaging in a base form, a debasement of human experience in a way that's shameless.
Do you think that by owning everything, they'll eventually bankrupt themselves because no one will obey the law anymore because the threat will be so massive? The cost of executing the threat, if you have to execute it on 10 million people, it becomes cost ineffective. So by owning so much stuff, you can never prosecute everybody, which makes your threat not as good as if you carry it out. It's like threatening someone to punch them in the face and never punching them. They begin to ignore it. So copyright becomes effectively ineffective.
Eventually, it'll collapse, and we're seeing that right now in the rise of the P2P file swapping. Napster obviously opened the wall and let the people through the gates. And this is continuing now with these new models and new bands that are going out there with free music. Radiohead releases music for free, then they have a #1 hit single. So the record companies have shot themselves in the foot. The copyright cartel has destroyed a good thing. Instead of just getting a piece of the action, they wanted all the action, as you say. They're trying to get the entire ball of wax, and in effect, they put themselves out of business. But the problem is that they're not going to go quietly. They're going to try to hold on to this monopoly as long as they can, and it's setting up a lot of tension between the people and these corporate gulag mongers in a way that it can't help but end up in conflict. I mean, obviously the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, and the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, by suing their customers, by litigating against their customers, they're opening the door to real genuine conflict. And then you add that onto this bad central banking policy in a way that they appease the banking speculators out there who are using that cheap money to just increase the money supply by 14% a year. It's adding a lot of other tensions out there. Rising food prices, rising oil prices. I mean, it's hard to conflate the copyright and the banking ideas, I can try to do that.
Maybe we should skip over that. Keep to the.
There's no balancing
macros.
point there. It just goes on two parallel tracks.
Well,
and I can continue going down the track forever, and I'll never achieve intersection.
Well, because it's effectively that one ideology wants to go one direction, and one ideology wants to go another, and it's essentially a man being pulled by two horses. You know the old thing when they put the chain of man up. They're gonna destroy the man.
I agree. There's you can't serve two masters. You know, as Bob Dylan said, you got to serve somebody.
Yeah. All right.
That's all I'd say.
Well, who's the smartest person you know?
The smartest person I know, without a question of a doubt, is Stacy, Herbert, my girlfriend of many years now.
So I should interview her.
You should. She has a mind, basically, that is...
photographic?
Well, it's able to store information and recall information in a way that I have not found in anyone else in my life. And putting all that information into context as well, she's also very good at this. And this is what makes us a good team, is because I'm generally more looking at the big picture, to the point of almost where there is really no picture. I'm trying to justify a picture where there is none. You know,
well,
but I'm happy to try.
1 and 0 is the same, right? So it's infinity is everything and nothing. So go for it.
Well, that's something I would say. Meanwhile, you know, she's extremely good at actually putting things into very, very useful context that we've been able then to take what we do, which are filmmaking, podcasting, writing, and actually